Finding summer flounder fishing spots using Google Earth is covered in detail in my online fishing course at saltstrong.com/Skinner. Alright, so this video was inspired by this beach fishing trip for blackfish. And for those of you who aren't familiar with blackfish, they're very structure oriented. In this case, the structure is submerged boulders. These big rocks are out there. You can't see them. So when you're on the beach, you're not quite sure where they are, even if you know you're in the general area of where these rocks are. To catch blackfish with consistency, you really want to put your offering right next to the rock. So, even though this is going to be, this is a blackfishing application, what I'm going to show here is going to work well for any kind of fishing where you're interested in structure, and that kind of works out to just about all kinds of fishing because structure is just so important. So let's move on to the tools that I used that worked for me very well on this trip. All right, so what I'll show here would work for any kind of fishing where the water is relatively clear and not too deep. I'm using Google Earth because that's what I'm used to. There are other programs out there where you can do this. Now, the whole point of what I'm doing now is to basically look at underwater structure and get the GPS marks. So for this example run, I'm going to use this restricted government island here. This way here, there's no risk that I'm going to burn anybody's spot. So this is an area that's got pretty clear water, lots of rocks, plenty of stuff to look at for this example. Now, if you look at this right off, gee, this isn't so great. A part of Google Earth that's very useful is the time tool. So if I click on this, oh, there we go. Now we can see stuff. So the point of this is to be able to mark underwater structure and then be able to get back to it. Now, you can also run Google Earth on your phone, but at least on my phone, it's not clear enough to show all of this detail, so I use either a laptop or a desktop computer. All right, so I've zoomed in along the beach, and imagine, like I'm looking at these rocks. They jump out at me. They look like they're probably the right distance. I'm going to use this time tool and step back and see if I can find some possibly, there's better, some better imagery. That was certainly good. That's not as good. I'm going to do one more. You know what? I think I'm going to step forward in time a few clicks and use this one. This is nice and clear. Now, what you're going to see on this video is not going to be as clear as what I'm seeing on my laptop because just because of the recording artifacts and stuff. But all right, so I'm interested in this over here. The first thing I need to do is know, can I reach this from shore with a cast? So what I'll do is go to the measuring tool, click on that, and then just go into like standing water. 173 feet. All right, so for blackfish fishing, I think I can reach that. So yeah, this is an important point. How far can you cast? And that's going to depend on what you're using. You know what? If I'm throwing pencil poppers for stripers, I can cast way over this. If I'm trying to throw a 1-ounce jig with a piece of crab, yeah, I think I can reach this. Not 100% sure, but you know what? I got this other rock that's pretty close over here, and let's get a measurement on that. 140 feet, I know I can reach that one. That's not a problem at all. Something to consider is this appears that this imagery was taken around low tide because I can see this rack line up here. So you know what? Yeah, at low tide you're standing here. At high tide, you might be standing up here. You may not be able to reach that rock. So that's all something that you need to take into consideration is stage of the tide and the stuff that you can reach. All right, so let's say that this rock is the one that I'm interested in because I can hit that probably even at half tide. So let's clear that out. And now all I need to do is put my cursor over the rock. And if you look down in this corner here, and I'm not sure this shows up on the video, but you can take my word for it, the GPS coordinates show up down in this corner. So all I need to do is leave this over the point that I'm interested in and then take the GPS marks and put them into something else where I can get on the beach and then find the spot. So let's move on to that step. Okay, now I have GPS marks that I'm interested in. How can I leverage that? How can I use that information on the beach to get to that hidden structure? So I'm going to use the Navionics app. I like that it will give me the marine chart information, so I find that useful as well. And now that I've got GPS coordinates that we just got from Google Earth, I simply hit this magnifying glass, go to lat lon, and then it's a matter of just dialing in the GPS numbers that I just got off of Google Earth. And we'll just get in some numbers here that are pretty close. Let's see, 4111. Okay, so that's actually, this is going to be right where we were just looking, 7210. We might as well put exactly the right ones in for this demonstration. 7210, 413. So you can see, you know, this is pretty easy to use. Then you just say show on map. Click here, marker, add, and there you go. And now if we zoom in, well, there it is. You know, there is a little thumbtack on the spot where that rock is. And so now if you were on the beach, you could use this to know exactly where that rock is. And that's how I did the blackfishing trip. And I'm going to show you in the next part how to make sure that you know where to cast to get to that. Okay, so for demonstration purposes, I've put a mark on my Navionics app on this very large rock here. And, you know, let's pretend we can't see that. Let's pretend it's the application where it's a hidden boulder. You know it's there someplace, but you're not quite sure. I'm going to show how to, by using the Navionics app, get to that spot. Okay, let's look at how we can use the phone app to get to that rock, starting with the marker that we've put into the app from the coordinates we got from Google Earth. Okay, so look what happens if I walk directly at this rock. Look how the line goes right over the thumbtack. Now, this is showing that the mark that we got from Google Earth and then put into the phone app, it's perfect. You can think of that line as your casting direction to get to the rock. It's that simple, and it works very well. Okay, but that was easy because we could see the rock. Now suppose we can't see it. We've got the thumbtack, we start walking towards the water, but the line isn't going to the thumbtack. So what do? We adjust. We watch the line. It takes a second for it to update, but oh, there we go. As we've shifted the walking direction, the line has shifted, and it's right over the thumbtack. So it really works quite perfectly. You go onto Google Earth or some other satellite imagery, get the GPS coordinates, put them into an application, something like this, and you can find these hidden pieces. Okay, so that was for a shore application. And I will link that video, the shore-based blackfishing, to the end of this video. But you know what? I use Google Earth for so many things. Kayak fishing, boat fishing. For example, this particular area, the first time I ever went kayak fishing here, I looked this over, found some areas I was interested in, got the GPS coordinates off of Google Earth, and then manually entered them into my little fish finder / GPS that's on my kayak. So the first time that I went here, I had a decent starting point, and those first trips worked out really well based on marks that I got basically sitting in my basement looking at Google Earth and looking at the imagery. And if you look farther back into this bay system, yeah, this is really neat. I mean, you can see the channel very clearly. You can see the transition from the shallower bar water to the channel. And hey, fluke love edges. This place is loaded with edges. First time I ever fished this area, I did the same thing. I was very interested in where this bar dropped off, so I got those marks. I got those numbers, put them in my machine. The same thing. It's like these little finger cuts in here. You can imagine the current running across this and dropping into these little channels. How can that not be good for fluke fishing? And in fact, you can see a bunch of boats are here drifting. And, I could look at the imagery date and go, well, this is late June. It's a great time to be fluking in these bays. That's what these guys are doing. They're fluke fishing. So you can get a really good idea of the structure ahead of time. Before you go out, you can get the marks, put them in your machine, and you get out there, and you get yourself off to a good start. So, all right, well, I hope you found this useful, and if you like these videos, please subscribe.